I do understand the argument people often make, why are NHS managers paid so much? It's more than the Prime Minister, it's more than nurses and doctors. But isn't it the case that, being the biggest employer in Europe, you do need really well-paid, really skilled managers, and that actually is value for money?
Up to a point, yes. I mean, obviously the NHS is as you say, it's a vast organisation. It employs over 1 million people across the UK. I think the the spending for NHS just in England before COVID was £125 billion in 2019-20, the COVID year 2020-21 that was well over £200 billion. So yes, it's a vast organisation. Obviously, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. But it's certainly the case that this kind of excess we do see time and time again. I think from our perspective, it's sort of the thin end of the wedge when you see quite a few of those, very senior trust managers or, senior communications officers. I was looking just before I came on here. There's a senior comms manager at Guy's and St Thomas's, a trust here in London, on well over £50,000. I mean, it's instructive when you have those kind of roles, which either shouldn't be there or, manifestly, I think, overpaid relative to quite a few other people who also manage large organisations, be that in the public sector or the private sector.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the diversity managers always get an absolute kicking when it comes to this kind of topic, don't they? But also, the NHS does dish out quite a lot in compensation for people, quite staggering numbers, in the billions, actually, when it comes to compensation as well, which implies that not only is it not necessarily value for money, it's also not necessarily that good at actually keeping you healthy.
That's right. I mean, negligence claims have been going up, year after year. Obviously, we all know there's quite a big COVID backlog, as it were. So that's sort of cancelled appointments or cancelled operations or delayed ones. GP surgeries just, not physically seeing people. So I'd imagine we'll see sort of a further increase over the coming years as quite a lot of that backlog is clear. But yes, unfortunately, as you say, I mean, we see that time and time again in the public sector, not least in the NHS. And so, getting to grips with that kind of issue is something that ministers of all parties over many decades, frankly, have just not really properly addressed. And I think, for me, there's a few sort of key examples of NHS waits that really stick out. Something called ghost patients. So this was an estimate a few years back from the Public Accounts Committee, which showed that there are 3.5 million people who are ghost patients. What does that mean? It effectively that GP surgeries is given sort of an annual payment basically for each patient, but a lot of these patients just aren't there. So, for example, they've either died, or it might be for example, EU nationals who've briefly lived in the UK but have now left the country. So there's a lot of money going into that, and about £550 million was the estimate. So those kind of examples are quite worrying.